is indeed a pleasure to welcome to St. Anne's this morning Dr. Dutta and Dr. Wilson. They are from what we call in the Presbyterian Church in Canada, most affectionately the Beale Field in India. It is an area that we have worked in for over 100 years. And actually we are the only partner church that works specifically in the Beale Field. If Dr. Wilson and Dr. Dutta would like to stand up. Dr. Wilson, on my far right, is the wife of Dr. Hamalainen Wilson, the superintendent of the Christian Hospital in Dutta in India. She has been working at the hospital as a gynecologist obstetrician for the past 8 years. Prior to her marriage, she worked at the Evangelical Mission Hospital in Orissa in India. Her medical degree is from Raipur, Chandigarh, and her postgraduate Doctor of Gynecology and Obstetrics is from one of the leading medical colleges in India, and that is Ludhiana in the Punjab in northern India. Dr. Wilson has 2 daughters. The older of the 2 is now studying to be a doctor, having just completed her first year at medical college. And their youngest daughter has just completed grade 12 and is now prepared to enter medical college. Dr. Wilson is presently working at the Christian Hospital in Dutta, an area that has had many missionaries from the Presbyterian Church in Canada and the Women's Missionary Society serve. She believes that God has blessed her in this hospital, and now especially as she has been given the opportunity to come to Canada. Dr. Wilson has only been out of India once before, and that was to take a pilgrimage to Israel. And Dr. Dutta, Dr. Sebastian Dutta, is a graduate of Medical College Vellore, another leading medical college in India. Her husband is also a medical doctor. Their 2 daughters and their son-in-law as well are medical doctors. And in fact, I just learned that her youngest daughter has just become engaged to a medical doctor. Surprise. Her brother, Dr. Samuel Kishin, who has visited Canada because he was working with the Church of North India in the Synodical Board of Health Services, is also a doctor. And he was married to our beloved Dr. Maggie Kishin, who passed away. And she was also a physician. Dr. Dutta is responsible for the Child Health and Obstetrics and Gynecology Department, working with her husband, Dr. Dutta at Hakpiplia. She has been instrumental in beginning the community health program near their village, with support from PWSNE and CIGA Canada. She is the chair of the Postgraduate School of Nursing in Indore, and has conducted a screening program for HIV/AIDS for the vulnerable group in all of the villages. With her efforts, every person in these villages has been immunized against hepatitis B. In addition to her work in Hakpiplia, which you would think would be sufficient, she is also the medical superintendent of the Christian Hospital in Indore, serving there until they can find a new superintendent since the death of her sister-in-law, Dr. Maggie Kishin. In 2007, she conducted the Safe Motherhood program under UNICEF. We welcome them in our midst today.
From Sarah to Rachel to Hannah, the Old Testament stories tell us of the importance of children. All these women were considered barren and so not of value in their society, but eventually these women were blessed with children. And although this may seem like ancient history in many countries of the world today, women are still valued primarily for their ability to have children. But having children often costs the mother her health, poor nutrition, living conditions, the help of trained nurses and doctors. Both Dr. Wilson and Dr. Dutta are medical doctors, and they have specialized in obstetrics and gynecology. Their practices have increased the quality of medical care available to the women in the Dutta region and the Cantabria region of India. We are very privileged to have them with us today, and again, I will welcome you, Dr. Wilson and Dr. Dutta. It is a great privilege to have you with us. And I would like to ask you a few questions so that you can help the people here and the people in our television audience understand a bit about your life and what you do. So my first question is, why did you choose to continue medical training in obstetrics and gynecology after you had finished your initial medical training as a doctor?
Before I say anything further, I'd just like to say that I bring greetings from my church in Cantabria, where we've been working for the last 35 years. And my husband also joins me along with my family, where they have sent their greetings to you. And also from the diocese to which I belong. It's called the Bhopal Diocese, and it is functioning in Madhya Pradesh, which is in the central province of India. As you all know, India is a very big country, but this state is also one of the biggest states in the country. And I'm very happy to be here with you. I would like to thank Reverend Dr. Wilma, who has arranged this trip for us, and the WMS, who has been very kind to arrange this trip for us, and we can come here and be with you and also join in for the WMS celebrations. I'm very thankful to your Presbyterian, Reverend Janice. We are thankful that you could attend this church service today and be a part of it. Thank you very much for honoring us and for having us here today. Thank you very much. Whilst coming to these questions, I'd like to say that I've been working in this rural area for 35 years. After I had graduated from the medical school, I had a sponsorship obligation to complete. So I moved on to an urban hospital in Ratlam. That's the city. But as time went on and I got married, we felt that it was best for us to work in a rural hospital. And once we were there, we were so taken up by the work that we had. The quality of work also was very impressive. And I felt that it was the women who required that care. Normally in India, it so happens that women rarely go out to medical practitioners, the doctors. They feel that they should go to female doctors who can attend to their needs. They're very shy in going to other doctors. So it was a must that if we were to continue in that place, I should go ahead with that. So it's because of that that I felt that I should continue in this field. And that's exactly what I've been doing for these years.
Respected all ministers and dear friends, good morning. And I say all of you namaste. When I passed my MBBS, then I went to work in one of the mission hospital, Khariar, Orissa, and that is most backward area of India. So first I worked there, and I saw that ladies, they don't want to check up by male doctor, and they were jumping from the table when male doctor were coming for checkup. So I thought, and I decided that I will become gynecologist to understand their problems and all types of need I will fulfill for them. And I will say that I am coming from Christian Hospital, Jobert, belonging to Zion Church, Jobert, and my area is Vindhyasapura area in Madhya Pradesh, and I have brought love, regards and greeting for you all of you. Hey.
Dr. Wilson and Dr. Dutta, I notice you're both dressed beautifully in your saris. What do you wear when you go out on medical visits? What do you wear at the hospital for your work day?
I think we continue in our saris because basically in the villages people respect women who wear saris. Nowadays, of course, with the change of years, people are accepting salwar kurtas also, but most of the time, I think both of us wear saris to work.
Now, for each one of your hospitals, how big is the area, the land area that you would like to use the hospital cover?
I am working around Jewett. 1 lakh people are there. I am working among them, and 3 districts are coming in around Jewett. First Alirajpur, second Jhabua, and third half of the Dhar district. I am looking after this area.
Basically, the place where I am working in has a population of 25,000 people. But we get patients from a radius of 60 kilometers who turn to us for their medical care. And these places are closest to one of the 2 big cities of Madhya Pradesh. One being the capital, that's Bhopal, and the other is Indore. We're also close to another big city, which is Devas district, where exactly our village is located. So we're getting people from these places.
And I would ask each one of you, how many babies did you deliver during the year?
We are delivering in our hospital 1,000 to 1,200 babies per year in our hospital.
We have delivered as many as 1,500 deliveries per year. But now that we have a different set of plans coming in the government, there are a lot of help that is coming through the government. This is called Janani Suraksha Yojana. According to this plan, they are getting a lot of monetary help from the government. And because of this, the number has receded to 900 to 1,000 per year.
How does this plan mean that the hospital delivers less babies? Are they being delivered in the villages instead of coming into the hospital?
Previously, all the deliveries were taking place at home. They did not even have training advice to do that. Everything was conducted at home. There were no privileges from the government, and rarely people came and showed themselves to the doctors in the hospital. But now things are changing. Like I just said, because of these plans that are coming in, there are certain sets of people who are being appointed by the government, and they lead them to the hospitals. Patients are coming on their own, and we are trying to help them at the most.
What kind of prenatal and postnatal care is available to the women who are your patients and come to have their babies?
For antenatal checkup, we are calling ladies every 15 days, and when they come to our OPD, then we are doing all this. We are taking weight, height, blood pressure, pulse, temperature, and we are doing respiratory system and serious system examination and per abdominal examination, and we are doing all types of investigations like hemoglobin, grouping, VDRL, HIV, HBS antigen, and routine microscopy. And we are giving the patient vaccination, tetanus toxoid, and iron, calcium tablets. We are supplying them, emergency like malaria, typhoid, and URI, tuberculosis, UTI. That also we are treating with these pregnant ladies. And when they go for normal delivery, we do normal deliveries, and if needed, we do cesarean section for them. And postnatal care, after normal delivery, we are keeping patient 3 days in hospital, and after cesarean section, we are keeping patient for 7 days, and we are taking care of patient, taking blood pressure, pulse, temperature every day, and doing care of the episiotomy wound, and in cesarean section, abdominal wound, we are taking care of this, and we then discharge the patient.
I think most of the care that goes on is more or less the same, but I'd just like to highlight that once the patient comes in, we register them. So we build a rapport with them when they are with us, and the patients get to know us and our staff, so they are not at all worried when they come for their deliveries. The routine tests are carried out. There is an antenatal profile in which they get all their tests done, and the patients are examined accordingly. It's very important that they have their hemoglobin done, because anemia is a very common cause of maternal death in the country, and women end up having hemoglobin which is less than 6 when they come to us. Nowadays, of course, there are a lot of medications that are available which can raise their hemoglobin levels, but otherwise, previously when we had to give them transfusion, and even now for that matter, it's very difficult to get the family to feel that this is important. People are not ready to donate blood. You have to tell the family members about that, and they are very reluctant to donate blood. But anyway, nowadays it's becoming easier when we try to explain to them. We have some counselors in the hospital who explain all this to the family members, and sooner or later that is made available. There are other tests which are equally important. The blood group is important, so that there are no cases of blood incompatibility later on in negative patients, and blood is tested for that, and accordingly they are treated for that. Another thing is high blood pressure, that is hypertension, that goes along with pregnancy at many times, and that leading to something called eclampsia, which later ends up into convulsions. It's very harmful for the mother, and that's why we have to take special care and give special attention to the mother. So these are few of the things that we are very particular about, and it's then itself that we try to explain values of family planning, because in our family in India today we have more than 4 or 5 children, especially in the villages, and this has to be explained in the antenatal period, because it's then that we try to get them into thinking about it. Otherwise, what happens is that later on, if they have another set of girls or something like twins, then they are very reluctant to have their tubectomies to be conducted. So these are some of the steps that we take. And when it comes to postnatal care, we are very particular that they get back to us after 6 weeks after their deliveries, or after they have had a surgical intervention. And when they get back to us, we make sure that they're doing well, and everything seems to be in order. They're given tablets to increase their hemoglobin, and also antibiotics to take care of their infection or anything like that, because sepsis is also something that comes up if these deliveries are conducted elsewhere.
Dr. Dutta and Dr. Wilson, you've mentioned that many of the women live in rural villages. What are the living conditions like in these villages, and what would their regular day look like?
condition of the ladies are very poor in the villages, and this is due to low socio-economic condition, first. Second, due to illiteracy. And third, the crops which they are growing are not of good variety. So these affect their health. And these ladies, they are very poor in their all types of this condition.
Very rightly said by her that the socio-economic status of the country, and especially in the rural areas, is pretty on the lower side. And that has exactly led to all the problems that are coming. If you were to ask me, 35 years ago when I started working in the rural areas, the condition of women was so bad. There were houses in which they were kept at the rear end of the house, where there were no windows, and it was pretty dark. No way of getting sunlight all the time. They had to cook on something called chulas. These were smokeless chulas. That means there was a lot of smoke that was coming. They were burning firewood, and there was no outlet for these. This had an immense effect on their respiratory system. Many of them ending up with bronchial asthma because they were allergic to it. And some of them had an effect on their eyes. Some of them ended up with a lot of visual impairment. And with all this, they had to continue. In the family, the food is always served in this manner, that it is, at first it's the men who have their meals. This is followed by the children and the rest of the household. And finally, the lady of the house, with whatever is left, has a meal with. You can well understand that basically they end up having a very imbalanced diet. They do not get what they require, and whatever is left is what they consume. So that brings an effect on their health, and this is how things have been going on. Water scarcity is also of great importance, because wells and other source of water supply has not been available in the vicinity. Women had to walk for long distances, carrying mud pots on their heads, bringing it for the house. You can imagine that you need water for cleaning up, you need water for drinking, you need water for having bath, and of course cleaning the rest of the house, washing clothes, etc. And all this was on the head of the woman. So invariably she would be attending to all this. And more so, she would be doing a lot of other household work, like she would be looking after the cattle in the house. Cow dung has to be replaced by, like they don't have any such sources where they can throw this and have manure at their hands. But on the other hand, they use this cow dung to make cow dung cakes, which is burned and used as fuel. And they also use this cow dung to apply on the house floor. Now this, as they think, is supposed to be a very, it's very ritualistic for them to do this, because they think that by applying cow dung on the floor, they make the place holy. So this goes on, which is very unhygienic, and of course definitely has its effect on the women's health. So this has been also going on for so many years.
Dr. Wilson and Dr. Dutta, thank you so much for all the information you've given us and for giving us a picture of the women that you serve and the population